Hi guys, Zelp here. Welcome back to another interesting video on Warframe, and today we'll be solving the damage mysteries of the gas status effects with stealth. A fair warning before we begin is that this will be an unscripted, casual, long-ass, boring video that you guys just love so much, but I did write down the points that we'll be discussing, and I will edit any huge drags in between the video when I'm done. So, about a month ago, someone asked me why the gas damage on the Orvius is so high, and I only answered part of it, which is due to the troll attack's base damage. Okay, it has a higher base damage, so when you proc based on that higher base damage, you do more damage. And I even show you guys that if you were to use something with a high status chance weapon, you can actually do a simple spin attack and it will do an even larger damage than the troll attack from the Orvius. But again, I did not explain about the gas damage because at that time I did not know the other factors which will affect or which could contribute to that damage. Okay, and not long after that I actually made another video calculating actual field damage accurately. So yes, I'm talking about the damage that you see when you attack the enemy, which is not easy to calculate or prove. But we did that together, and you might also need to check back on that video first before you actually see this one, because you might have some trouble understanding the calculations later when the spreadsheets comes out. I will put the link at the description or somewhere on the screen, just pay attention. And also on my last video I talked about the highest damage done by a companion, basically which companion could do the most damage, and spoiler alert, it most likely has something to do with stealth damage and gas status effects. Yeah, and all this research and all these videos that I made helped me to finally figure out what's going on with that insane damage, okay? And I will leave it up to you to decide if it's a bug or not. And please let me know what you think at the comment. So this question has been asked since more than, I don't know, a year ago. I see it in the forums. Some YouTubers even claim that it is uncalculable, it makes no sense. It even appeared on my comments. So while trying to figure out this phenomenon, there are also rumors spreading, like saying that if you were to proc gas procs, the damage over time bypasses armor when you are in stealth mode and all kinds of things like that. So for me, I did enough experiments to know that that isn't true. So while proving it untrue, I kinda managed to solve the gas damage calculations as well. So anyways, let's just get into it. So first thing that we're gonna do here is that we're gonna prove that the rumor is false, that the gas proc does not bypass armor. Okay, so how we're gonna do that is pretty simple. Oh, this is not the right loadout. Okay, so we're gonna use a normal Warframe, and then we're gonna use the twin Baslock. The reason why is because it has a very high status chance. You can actually mod it to 100% status chance, and this will also this weapon does basic heat damage, so you can actually mod it to only do gas damage. So with 100% status chance and only gas damage, you will proc gas every single hit without fail. So this is a great weapon for this experiment, research, I don't know what you want to call it. So yeah, we're gonna use this weapon, and I am on my Warframe. I'm not using any mods that could increase the damage. So what you see is what you get. There is no steel charge and stuff like that. There is pressure point and solid strike though. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna summon heavy gunners, and since the heavy gunner, they scale based on, as in the only thing that scales with their level is the health, the armor, what else? I think that's pretty much it, the health and the armor. So if oh yeah, the damage as well, but we are talking about damage taken, so the health and the armor. Now when the health scales, it doesn't actually mean anything, because how do I say this, because it does not affect the damage that it takes. Okay, let's say it has 50 health and now it's scaled to 1000. If you were to do, I don't know, 10 damage back then, you should also do 10 damage now. So the health scaling does not matter, but the armor scaling does. Okay, and it is because of the armor that scales that reduces the damage. So if the armor does not scale, or if your attack bypass armor, then you should see the exact damage no matter what level of heavy gunner you're dealing with. Okay, so I just summoned one which is a low 50, so let's just go over there and take a hit. I will let's see, I will pause, I'll take a screenshot or something on the damage that I'm doing and the damage per tick, so that you guys can see and compare. Okay, I think that's enough. So now we are gonna try something a little bit harder. We're gonna go for a level 100. Level 100 heavy gunner. And we're gonna compare the damage. Okay? So if there is a damage reduction, it means that it does not bypass. There you go. Okay, so obviously there is a damage reduction, so it does not bypass armor. Now, then there is another rumor that says that, oh, it only bypasses armor if it's a stealth damage. So let's prove that as well. I'm gonna go get my Loki. Okay, so again, Loki is not modded with anything that could increase the damage. And let's see. Okay, so for this one, let's just go for 100 since we're gonna be invisible and the damage is too high. If I were to run it on a lower level corrupted heavy gunner, it might just die in the first hit or something. You just can't get a clearer picture. So I'm gonna run it with a level 100 and we'll compare it with a level 140. Okay, so here we go, a level 100 heavy gunner. Oh, I forgot to go invisible. Okay, immediately after going invisible, your damage might be really low because he is still aware of you, so you kind of have to wait a little while before you can do the stealth melee damage multiplier. Okay, I think that's it. So you can see it does 10.7k per tick. Oh boy, no, don't die, don't embarrass me. Okay, so we saw that. Now let's go higher, oops, to level 140. Same thing, and let's see how much damage do we have. I don't think he saw me, so nope, he saw me. Okay, so we're gonna wait a little while and go. There you go. 6k, yeah, about 6,000 per tick. So obviously the damage went down almost, I don't know, 40%, which is a lot, and it's all due to the armor. So obviously it does not bypass armor. Okay, so I'm so glad that we put that aside. Now when you pay attention to the damage done here, okay, there are actually 3 different damage happen during the first hit when it procs. First is the gas damage that it does based off of your gas damage, and then after that there is another one, they call it the first instant damage from the proc, which is a toxic damage, and the second instant damage, which is the damage over time based off your first instant, and that second damage over time is 125% of your instant damage, your first instant damage. Okay, so let's go to the spreadsheet and I will explain further on how you could calculate the damage and how did it get so high. So over here at the spreadsheet, most of you guys that seen my video would probably know how this works already, and I even upload it for you guys to play with and stuff like that. So if you're not familiar, you could check it out later. Right now I would recommend you just bear with me and just go through it with me, and then if you want to know further, you can take a look at how it's calculated at the previous video. Okay, links are description. So what we're going to do is we're going to take example 2, which is the corrupted heavy gunner, and I've already done this. What I did is I just copied this whole thing and paste it over. Okay, since the damage modifier formula is still going to be the same for the health types and also for the armor, so no changes here. The armor modifier, the armor equation, okay, the formula is also the same, so no changes here. All I need to do is select what level I want. So in this case, in this case I want to use a level 140. Okay, now this information you can get it at wiki. Base level 8, clone flash 700, fire armor 500, and also you can find out the gas damage, the damage modifiers on the health types and armor over here. So gas actually does a negative 50% on clone flash, so that's why you have to take this negative 50% into account to find out your damage modifier. And then what you want to do is the gas damage that you'll be doing, you'll be multiplying with this to find out how much gas damage you'll actually do, okay, which is this amount. Over here is the twin basslock, and how I find out all these figures. This one is actually displayed on the arsenal. You can actually just like rewind and take a look. It's 644.8 shown in the arsenal. To find the toxin damage, and what you want to do is, for me, I remove all the toxin damage mods, and what's left is only heat damage, and I realized that there is 322.8 heat damage. Okay, so this can only mean that if you take 322.8 and you take the 644.8 minus the 322.8, you will get what's left of, which is toxin damage only. Okay, so this is how I get my toxin damage. And then for the base damage, now this is a little bit tricky because you need a base damage to calculate your first instant damage. Okay, if you look at the wiki formula, it says physical damage plus toxin damage divided by 2. Now the twin basslock does not have any physical damage. Okay, so just like this, the wiki is somehow inaccurate for weapons like this. And it took me a really long time, trial and error and stuff, but I finally realized that what you could do is you take the base damage that it has, which is a 65 heat base damage. So by using that base damage, you must not include any other heat mods because those are considered elemental extras. Okay, so you only want to take that base damage, although it's a heat damage, but you're gonna use that, and then you're gonna times with your damage multipliers. So what we have is 1, which is itself. Okay, we have pressure point, which is 120%, and we also have the spoil strike, which is another 100%. Okay, and this will give you this base damage, which is 208. Okay, it took me a real long time to just figure this out. I think it took me like an hour or something staring at it mindlessly, like how the hell do I get physical damage? But anyway, after you have this too, you can finally calculate other stuff. Okay, so this one again, like just now, the gas damage, all you have to do is multiply into your damage modifier for gas, and you get this final damage. Your first instant following the equation given in wiki. So your base plus your toxin damage divided by 2. Okay, like that. And what you do is, after it divides by 2, this whole thing, even though there is heat damage inside, even if you use another weapon, there might be slash, there might be impact or puncher damage inside. Once you divide it by 2, this whole lump of value will become only toxin damage. Okay, now it also took me a while to figure this out, but that is how the mechanic works, because that is how I could find the exact figures. So after you divide, this whole thing becomes a toxin damage, and you have to keep in mind that if it's a toxin damage, it will have a toxin modifier on the corrupted heavy gunner, so on the ferret armor. So you have to times with the damage modifiers of toxin, which is this one. So you times it in, and you realize that you are doing this amount of damage, 9.4. Okay. And your second instant is probably the easiest thing to calculate. It's just 125% out of your first instant. Okay, and this is your DOT damage. When you do a stealth damage, things change. Okay, when you do a stealth damage, I'm just gonna remove this because it might be confusing. When you do a stealth damage, things change. First of all, your final gas damage will no longer be this value. Okay, it will be a multiplication of 8. Okay, so it will be this value. So how I do it, I just take the final gas damage, multiply by 8, and I have this, which will show up on screen about roughly 57 damage, gas damage. And then here comes the crazy part that causing, you know, so much fuss and confusion, is the first instant and second instant. Now to me, I consider this as a bug because it is just, the damage is just too much. So but you know, let me know what you think. Okay, so let's see. Over here, the moment you plus this thing together and divide it by 2, as I said just now, it will be considered as a new value that is only toxin damage. And what I believe that the system did was that the moment it gets a new value, okay, before this point, it will multiply by 8, okay, for the stealth damage. So what happened is, after you divide it by 2, this value is multiplied by 8. So you get 8 times of this value. Then after that, 8 times of this value divided by 2. Then after that, it times with the damage modifier. Okay, so now you have a new value with 8 times, and you times it with the damage modifier. And what the system did was, the value that came out is again taken as a new thing, and it is multiplied by 8 again. Okay, so just in the first instant, it multiplies 64 times extra damage because of 2 8s. Okay. Okay, this is kind of hard to explain, but yeah. So in normal cases, they will take your final damage, which is after the damage modifier, and they will multiply by 8. Okay, but since there is something going on behind the scenes for the first instant, so this is taken as 1 damage, and this one is multiplied by 8. And then after that, again, in normal case, after the damage modifier, that value is again multiplied by 8. So that is why there is 2 multiplications of 8 here. And the next crazy thing is that when you reach the second instant, it is again considered as a new value. Okay, and this value is again multiplied by 8. And that is where the insane damage comes from. Okay, you can actually see this in wiki. They actually mention this, but they mention under the Excalibur blind, the ability for blind under Excalibur. It does state that the toxin or the damage, the DOT damage from gas proc, does an extra 8 times instead of just the 8 times from your first damage. It does an extra 8 times. Okay, so it is stated there. I will, you know, put it on the screen so you can see it. So also because of that, it gave me the idea of what's going on. So now, right now, you realize that a lot of things does not make sense. Okay, for example, when wiki says that your damage over time is 125% increment, now it's no longer 125%. In fact, if you compare this to, it is 10 times extra damage. So that statement becomes false. So if for me, what I believe is that there should be only one 8-time multiplier over here, and that's it. This is how I would believe that it should be. Oops. Yeah, so I need to remove one of these. So this is how it should be. Okay, you have a stealth damage, which is 8 times of this one, and you do this much damage, and then after that you do a DOT damage, which is 125% of your first instant. And this should be the norm, and this is what everyone is expecting, but instead we get that crazy ass damage, which is, why am I going, yeah, which is this one. So that is my explanation. Now in any science or lab experiment, you need to have more than one test to know whether or not your formula or stuff like that is accurate. That is why in my previous video I have a few examples. I think I have 3 examples, no, 2 examples and 1 actual case. Okay, I have 3 examples. Anyways, so over here I'm gonna do another extra one for you guys, which is the Corrupted Butcher. So it has a base level of 1, clone flesh 100, fire armor 5, and everything here is the same. It also only has fire armor and also clone flesh. So the formula for the damage modifiers is the same as well. Yeah, armor, because I'm using a level 100, the fire armor will scale up to 82.6. So final gas damage, you should see this. Now I don't think I will be doing the final gas damage, the first instant and second instant. Instead I will show you the final stealth gas damage, stealth gas, which again, oops, which again will be equals to this one times 8. Okay, and also I'll show you the first instant for the stealth and also second instant for stealth. Now if this one is correct, you can rest assured that all the other information is correct, because this is the final step. So yeah, so I'll show it, display it at the back, I don't know, at the background or something while I'm talking right here, delaying while you see that image. And okay, what else do I want to say? Before I end this, I would like to say that it is okay to be wrong. I have no ill intentions of showcasing your mistakes. In fact, I am very grateful that you were brave enough to speak your mind and hanged around long enough to talk about it with me and come to a conclusion together. So I thank you for sticking around, and if it wasn't for you, there might not be a me and my videos. I'm very happy that we managed to solve an old Warframe mystery like this. If you find it helpful, don't forget to share it with your friends, and if it is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe for more videos. You can ask me stuff here or at Twitter, or you can just follow me at Twitter for updates on upcoming videos. Once again, this is Yelp wishing you a pleasant day. Bye bye, Tenno.